Hey, it's Eric, Metal Theologian. So, Pentagram played here last week. I had a lot of fun at the show. Because in Charleston, we don't get a whole lot of touring bands coming through, so I learned that the hard way by moving here. Didn't realize how good I had it previously in Austin and San Francisco and Cleveland, frankly, too. But, yeah, anyway, they played here, and of course, Pentagram was great, you know. It's funny, it wasn't like the classic lineup of the band, but the band was fucking solid, man. They were really good. Like, frankly, given the condition Bobby Liebling's in, the band was like superb, you know. But the fact is, Bobby brought it too, man. I mean, the dude's like, I think he's in his 70s by now or something like that. I mean, he's still. I'll tell you this: I've never seen someone get so much mileage out of just standing on stage and making faces. Like, a big part of it was, you know, usually you have the singers like dancing around during a solo or something like that. He just fucking stood there and made faces. It was pretty fantastic. I mean, but one of the opening acts, man, I kind of want to hype a little bit, especially because I'm pretty sure they're local. There's this band called Erode the Dream on the ticket. I'd never heard of them before. Frankly, didn't think a whole lot of the name. But they played, man, and it wasn't what I was expecting. You know, I was expecting most of the bands to be sort of like, you know, hard rock type stuff, you know. And actually, another one of the bands that played was Hans Condor, and that was definitely like sort of, you know, party rock, sort of more of a punk vibe to them and that. And not really my taste, but I got to give them a lot of credit for for bringing it. I mean, that's the kind of opening act you want. You know what I mean? Is when they were like busting their asses, and you know they were involved, and they were on top of it. So like, I hate to use the word professionalism, you know what I mean? From the standpoint of being like a good band that really delivered on stage, they were awesome, but not really my thing. My kid liked them a lot. So anyway, Erode the Dream, though, I really wasn't expecting because it's you know, I didn't really know what to expect at all, to tell you the truth, but I wasn't expecting like space rock, and it was funny. Look, like the first band was just a guitar player and a drummer. I don't remember what they were called. They're kind of bad now, but yeah. But like they were a 5-piece. So it felt like there were a lot of people on the stage, especially because it's a small stage at the club here in Charleston, the one where the metal bands have been playing lately. But yeah, man, they just fucking brought it. And so anyway, yeah, it's like the space rock. It has all these weird, like, sort of like cosmic shit going on in it. Good songs underlying it, right? You know what I mean? Sort of goes with the sort of like the stoner vibe without actually being like a stoner band. You know what I mean? Like, this is the sort of band that I would be really into when I need a break between, you know, Electric Wizard and Ararat or something like that. You know what I mean? If I want one of those kicks. But like, there's serious rock here. You know what I mean? And sometimes there's sort of a shoegaze vibe, but it never feels like. I mean, it never feels like shoegazy. You know what I mean? Like up itself in that sort of way. It's more like sort of a pure, like, sort of space aesthetic, you know? I love they use, like, effects on the vocals and shit like that. So, yeah, man, as far as I know, the only thing they have out is this EP right here. Actually, I saved the hype sticker. So there you go. That's it. I'll try to remember to put that URL in the description or something too, so y'all can check it out. But yeah, it's a fantastic record, man, and especially from a local Charleston band, man. I really gotta give extra credit, you know. I love the bands from the South because the South is kind of this. I don't know if reputation is the right word. Because it's sort of halfway between a reputation, like sort of just the way things are, but like. The South kind of gets a rap of like being really sort of shit for culture, you know what I mean? Sort of a wasteland compared with, you know, New York and California and places like that. And on the one hand, I mean, there's a case to be made, although I think a big chunk of the case is just fucking population density. You know, it still blows my mind how many people are sort of clustered between, you know, like DC and Boston. You know, it's just a fuckload of people. And then on the West Coast too, obviously, but that northeastern corridor. And I've been to most of those cities before, but having driven through there myself, like up that part of 95, like several times over the last couple of years, It's just nuts how many people there are, you know? I mean, if you're driving from LA to San Francisco, it's like there are a lot of people in LA and there are a lot of people in San Francisco, but then there's a lot of just sort of empty land in the middle, you know what I mean? Yeah, but not in that space there, man. Um, so anyway, though, I do think the population density is kind of a factor in that too. But the fact is, man, there's really great music here. You know what I mean? It just doesn't get the same attention that I mean, music or bands, but also just art in general get in like sort of the bigger, cultural centers. You know what I mean? So when you find a band like this, it really feels like a gem. You know what I mean? That doesn't say there aren't there are probably a ton of great bands that I just don't know, but it's sort of uh, a little extra something for you to appreciate when it comes to bands like Erode the Dream or Interceptor. You know. Anyway, I always when I go to a show and the opening acts are great. It makes me feel great, which is funny because it used to sort of be the opposite when I went to shows. I was going for the headliner, and maybe I get there in time for the opening acts, and maybe not. It was cooler back then, right? Back when I was in my 30s or whatever, Um, but yeah, that show was really a treat. It was a really fun show. I mean, the whole thing was fun. You know what I mean? And Pentagram obviously stood out, and these guys stood out. So yeah, yeah. And it's funny. I did see Pentagram once before, and I was in San Francisco still, probably a good 15, maybe closer to 20 years ago now. Um, but yeah, Bobby looked just as healthy now as he did then. So hey, guy's doing something right, I guess. It was a little bit of a bummer, although I understand it was like the merch seemed to be a lot sort of I mean, really, it seemed like there's some sort of meme that's gone around lately with like Bobby Liebling looking funny with his hair in the air or something like that. I think it was some shit on TikTok or something that I don't really pay attention to, so I can't really opine on it. But the shit just sort of seemed to go to the just a sort of memification, this sort of this style of art, like not so much in the posters they were selling as the T-shirts and that sort of thing. That just seemed geared towards something that Pentagram just kind of isn't as a band, or at least never has been in my, in my world, and I kind of don't want them to become either. I'm gonna fire this bad boy up. I might have talked about these guys a while ago, but I love my Russian metal, right? Yeah, I just sort of rediscovered this one. Pautina. I think this is a third album called Zombie. It's their second or third, something like that. It's 1993, actually. But, yeah, I sort of found this sort of digging through my shit a few days ago and pulled it out. And, God, this is a good record, man. And it's another one of these Russian ones that isn't that expensive either, too. I don't think this is quite as cheap as, like, EVM or something like that. Or, well, actually, this one. Fuck it, I'll show this one. Oh, that's coming through a little bit. I actually got this one at the recommendation of someone in the... Yeah, I can't remember who it was. I apologize, man, if you're watching. But, yeah, there was someone in my comment section who recommended this band not too long ago. Tiajoli Dien. Is that right? Yeah. I guess it means hard day, actually, because it has it in English there conveniently for me. So, anyway, this is the cover. Look, they went nuts with the art, right? Of course, on Melodia, what do you expect? I mean, the old fucking, like, corpses that were running that place must have been like, what the fuck is this? This isn't like, Stravinsky probably would have freaked them the fuck out, too. This isn't like Tchaikovsky or something like that, you know what I mean? So, I don't know if we want, Tiajolsky Dan. Tiajoli Dien. Tiajoli Dien. I'm trying, man. Anyway, this is a pretty good record too. It's Yeah, actually, it's really good. I mean, it's really just kind of a straight ahead, like, heavy metal record. It's not super heavy, not super fast, but it's not like hard rocky either, like the way some of these guys are. You know, these guys are probably more hard rocky than our Hard Day group friends. So, yeah, it's a cool record. And this is a cheap one too. I mean, so I think this one's probably cheaper than Paltina. Yeah, and they're probably both kind of hard to dig up if you don't have a Cyrillic keyboard, honestly. So, I actually installed one on my phone so I can look for some of this shit. That's how hard I geek out over some of this shit, right? I actually fucking installed like a Cyrillic keyboard. So if I'm on my like regular computer, I'm just fucked. But if I'm sitting there fucking around on my phone in the evening, go, oh, let me switch over. I have to hunt and peck for each letter because it's not like I know the fucking alphabet, right? Yeah. Anyway, it's a cool cover too, isn't it? Pautina. I guess it'd be something like spiderweb. And I assume zombie means zombie. Yeah, and I have no idea what part of Russia they were from. Realistically, the European part. But, yeah, fuck it. I'm not going to try and decode all this right now. I'm like, just leave it sitting there, too. Yeah, I figured I'd just pull out my Pentagram records, too, while I'm talking about it. Because, I mean, classic record, right? I mean, very different from their 70s stuff. It's funny because I really got into them through their 70s shit, and I never completely acclimated to, like, what their sound kind of became in the 80s. It almost feels like two different bands to me, and I kind of don't mind that because it's kind of two different great bands. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, the fact is when they played like, you know, Review Your Choices and like these old ass songs and the stuff the other night, I enjoyed them just as much no matter like how fucking heavy the guitars were and shit. Forever My Queen was a little faster than on the studio record, but you know, of course it is. First of all, it's live, but second of all, this shit just rocks no matter when you're playing. They did a few of my favorite songs from this one though, like Sign of the Wolf, Pentagram. They did The Ghoul. They actually closed with $20 spin. So, and oh, I don't remember. I think they did at least one more. Anyway, this is the kind of art I would like to have seen on the merch, man. I mean, that's one of the all-time great band photos. I mean, Jesus Christ. Now, admittedly, a lot of it's just what they did to the fucking photo, but I mean, fuck, dude. These black metal guys think they're tough. Yeah, I pulled out this one to show too. I actually haven't played this one, but it's right here. And it's going to get played before I put it away. But yeah, as far as I know, these are the only ones that actually came out in the 80s. This was like the first and second records, and they had already been around for close to 10 years by the time the first one came out. Then the third one, which I have a reissue of, I think it was already early 90s or something like that. So yeah, the Day of Reckoning on Napalm Records. So cool to have one of these bad boys sort of show off in a situation like this, right? Y'all love it or else you wouldn't be here. Alright, here's one that you're not going to expect me to show, because I don't show a lot of this kind of stuff. But check this bad boy out, man. A black metal record? Yeah, this, you know, I don't listen to much black metal anymore. But I still have a soft spot for the Black Legion stuff. Because the Black Legions totally support everything that makes humanity suffer and disappear. So silly, yeah. So this is kind of a classic split. Vlad Tepes and Belketra. Belketra is one of my favorite of the Black Legion's acts. It's I don't know, man. There's just something that's like extra grim. You know what I mean? There's like something like just so fucked up about these Black Legion bands that I don't know, man. The biggest ones almost seem to have lost it. Like Mutilation doesn't even fucking count. But like Vlad Tepes almost sounds I'm not gonna say it sounds like commercial black metal, but compared to some of these guys like Vagazaryaustra or something like that, they sound like commercial black metal, you know. So I have a soft spot for some of this shit, and this is yeah. I don't remember where I got this, how long I've had it. I think it's been repressed a couple of times. I've had this thing for a while. Even when I collected black metal, by the way, I didn't really collect it on record. I had it all on tape. Just because if it wasn't on tape, it was basically just commercial black metal. You know, I don't shit on black metal a lot. I sort of expressed disinterest a lot. I got really tired of the shit, but black metal kind of got me through a hard, like, part of my life, in a way, you know? I was working at a job that was just, like, not a great company to work for, super long commute, and just, like, felt thankless, and it sucked. It was kind of soul-draining. And I discovered, I had a friend who was into it, and it always kind of been a thorn in my side that, I'd never really gotten into it. That I was as into metal as I've been for, like, pretty much all my life, that I'd never managed to find any appreciation in myself for black metal. So I was like, I'm just gonna sit down and fucking listen to, like, an online radio station until I get it. And I found one. I was on Live 365 at the time. It was kind of heavy on the sketch, but it was great to just, like, sit there and, like, put in the earbuds or whatever, just let it blow all the bad shit out of my system while I was either kind of stewing a little bit at work. It was just perfect, because this shit's just so over the top negative that you're kind of like, oh, come on, guys, it's not that bad, you know? The funny thing about black metal is that it was after I spent a lot of time listening to black metal that I kind of really got into jazz. Because I dabbled in it a little bit before, here and there, you know what I mean? There's actually a key piece of this that I'm kind of leaving out. That's that when I came to appreciate black metal, it was really because I felt like I hadn't been listening to it the right way. You know what I mean? I've been listening to it as metal. And I don't think black metal is metal, for the most part. I mean, obviously there's crossover and shit like that, you know what I mean? There's some of it that's definitely metallic, but a lot of it doesn't really sound like metal at all, because it prioritizes different shit, like all the sort of, like, the virtuosity and the that's almost like a bad word to me, but, you know, that level of musicianship and writing and all that sort of thing, that's not what black metal is. That's not the level that they're operating on, you know what I mean? Like, the black metal, it's about, like, atmosphere and, like, color, and about just sort of the sound, you know what I mean? Sort of shaping that sound that comes on, you know? I got into noise stuff around the same time, too. Like, black metal sort of prepared the way for noise for me a little bit, which I also didn't stay very into. I never talked about that shit, really. So I'm sporting a Dillaway t-shirt. But, yeah, so listening to that and sort of getting it and, like, cluing into how some of these bands just operate on that sort of level, I was able to go back and listen to some of the jazz stuff that, you know, maybe I kind of liked but didn't really appreciate. I'm trying to remember what the impetus for this was, actually. I don't remember, but for some reason I went out and I bought a few jazz records just to check them out. You get these $10 reissues at the time. And I lay down on the couch and listened to Blues and Roots by Mingus, and it just blew my mind. I think I've included that in a video I made a few years ago for, like, 5 jazz records for the interested novice or something like that. You know what I mean? There's records to check out to get you into jazz that weren't, like, you know, Take 5 or Kind of Blue or obvious shit like that. Anyway, I just felt like black metal prepared me to sit there, like, listen to sort of the shapes of the sounds that were coming out of the jazz records, you know what I mean? And sort of to listen to it on that level and really sort of get my head around it, you know what I mean? So yeah, go figure, you know what I mean? Maybe it's an unlikely story, but maybe I'll call this video How Black Metal Got Me Into Jazz. Yeah. And so I pull out some classics like this. I've actually been listening to a lot of hard bop the last couple of weeks. And I kind of got my fill of Dexter Gordon. And, so I was kind of on a little bit of a kick there, too. So I've sort of been going for other stuff that, you know, I hadn't listened to in a while. And, like, isn't, like, too close to, like, the free jazz and that kind of shit. Because I tend to lean towards the free jazz a lot, you know what I mean? But this is a great record that I think people tend to snooze on a little bit these days. Maybe it's because it's on Prestige and not Blue Note. But this is really one of the essential Sonny Rollins records, if you ask me. I mean, it has, you know, I mean, just fucking St. Thomas, man. It's such a fucking... It's such a fun tune, you know? The Maury Tot, that's funny that it's called that, but that's, you know, the Mac the Knife song. You know, if it were a rock band, I wouldn't like that, but for a jazz act, it's totally, it's part of what jazz is, you know what I mean? It's taking a song like that and sort of reinterpreting it, you know what I mean? Like Coltrane did My Favorite Things and shit like that, Chim Chim Cheree, you know? And those were great, and it's not like I'm fucking listening to Mary Poppins soundtrack in my spare time, you know? Anyway, if you're like Sonny Rollins, don't snooze on this fucking record. It's really good. And I pulled up this one too, actually, by Dizzy Reese. This one is a Blue Note, obviously. But yeah, another guy who is a little bit, I don't know if underrated is the right word, because I don't know if this is like incredible, you know what I mean? This isn't like the second coming of like Kenny Dorham or something like someone like that, you know. But these are really good records. They have their own character. I have two of these on Blue Note. I pulled this one out to listen to later, but I'll just show. I might as well show it too, you know. There you go. With Donald Byrd on this one too. God, I haven't played this fucking record forever. I need to, but this is just, these records are just really easy to like. You know what I mean? It kind of has that bop feel to it. You know what I mean? It's not as pure a hard bop as like you're gonna get from like, you know, Horace Silver or I mean Dexter Gordon, obviously, Art Blakey. You know what I mean? But it definitely scratches the same sort of itch. You know what I mean? It's like what I was saying before with the stoner shit. You know what I mean? If you listen to Electric Wizard, Erode the Dream sort of is a nice one to sort of clear my palate with. That's kind of what this one does between Dexter Gordon records. If that sort of gives you an idea of the sound on this one. Anyway, obviously a great lineup on there. It's sort of like the Blue Note stable, though. Hank Mobley, Wynton Kelly, Paul Chambers, and Art Taylor. I mean, what are you gonna say, right? Oh yeah, man. Here's another one I hadn't played in a while. This is going even further back, but I mean, this is just one of those fucking records. If you have a jazz collection, you've got to have a copy of Bird and Diz, right? So I've had this forever. The other day I was like, oh, let's fucking listen to it. And of course, it's great. It's a little early for my taste in jazz, though. I mean, the whole bebop thing is definitely... It feels a little bit at times like it's sort of being, like, over the top with the bounciness. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit... I don't want to say chaotic for the sake of being chaotic, because that's not the right word. But, I mean, bebop, I guess. Like, that's what bebop is this kind of shit. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I guess I don't really have any actual criticism. It's just that I don't like the bebop as much as sort of the, you know, what that evolved into and sort of subsequent forms of jazz. Still a great record, man. You're still not going to hear me talking any shit on, you know, fucking Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, or fucking Lester Young, or I mean, fucking Bud Powell, any of those guys. You know what I mean? Of course they're awesome. And of course they're the forefathers. Here's another one I wanted to hype a little bit, though, because it's another one I pulled out. I didn't really appreciate this one when I first came across it, but this is sort of a lesser-known one here, the Don Rendell Quintet. I'm pretty sure out of England. I could, like, read the liner notes on the back. Yeah, it's originally from '72. This is a reissue, like almost every jazz record I own, you know? Great record, though, man. First of all, look at that cover. I mean, how can you resist that shit? I mean, I couldn't. Fucking, you could take this off and just have that font and I wouldn't be able to resist it. I mean, Jesus. That's why I bought this fucking record. Like, literally. Because the font. I'll talk about this one later. I haven't played it in a long time. I gotta get to know it again first. Yeah, but this one just has a really cool feel. I mean, it has sort of a boppish vibe to it, right? But the vibes feel like they're further forward than they usually are on these sorts of records. And the color that it gives the overall... The color that it just puts the overall in the sound of the band is just, again, really easy to enjoy, you know what I mean? Another sort of way to sort of branch off, you know, when you're on your hard bop kick, you're like, yeah, I really don't feel like listening to any more Art Blakey records. Let's see what Don Rendell is doing over here on this fucking Spacewalk record, you know? I wouldn't call this quite a hard bop record or anything like that. I mean, it's more adventurous than that, but it's probably not as far out in a lot of ways. Maybe it's comparable, really, with some of the stuff that Jackie McLean and Gratian Moncur were doing in the mid-'60s, that sort of thing. You know, Bobby Hutcherson, guys like that. I suppose it's in a similar sort of vibe with that stuff, which explains why I like it so much, because that's some of my very favorite jazz is, you know, the shit where they were listening to free jazz, clearly, but they hadn't incorporated it into their own sound yet. Yeah, Jackie McLean is like the standard bearer for that shit, in my estimation, you know. But there were a lot. The guys I named, Andrew Hill is another one. Alright, so what else do we have here? Alright, well, let's talk about one more metal one at least. This is good though, isn't it? Fucking Pautina. It's not bad at all, you know? Like they're working hard, you know, the production isn't really helping them out a whole lot, you know. The singer's going for it though, they have the right sorts of riffs. That punch too, you know what I mean? Like a little bit of that sort of punky punch without going into the thrash realms or anything like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really fun record, man. And what the hell else can you ask of a record? Yeah, I've hyped this. I've talked about this bad boy before, but I love this record so much, and I pulled it out again, and I'm gonna fucking sit here and hype it again. And I think this one's been reissued a couple times. You can probably get hold of it, but yeah, this is the Hammer Witch record. Fucking yeah, Return to Salem. I couldn't remember the title. I kept thinking Burned at the Stake, but that's the first song, you know. Fucking live for metal. I'm gonna put this right in the last song here, okay? Just so that we know what we stand for over here at the Metal Theologian channel, right? We listen to a lot of jazz. We like a lot of shit. But we do still live for metal. Look at that. What a great cover. How can you resist that shit? They have two M's making a sword. Name one other band that fucking had the balls to have two M's in their name make a sword. You know who didn't fucking do that? Fucking those wimps Hammer On. Fucking Hammers Rule. None of those fucking wimps, man. Just fucking Hammer Witch. Hammerhead, they didn't do it. It's kind of an innocuous back photo, actually. Still a fat sound for a fucking three-piece. Yeah, Frankie D. DTA Management out of Arlington, Texas. Yeah, this is says copyright 87. Looks like they actually recorded this in 88, but all-time fucking favorite record right here. Pull this one out too, actually. Don't have a whole lot to say about it. I mean, there are other people who know way more about the Herod than I do, but so good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a boot, but you gotta have a copy of fucking The Oath of Black Blood around, right? And I would say this is kind of more metal than a lot of where sort of black metal went after these early phases, you know. Fuck, man, I'm cutting the thing off. I'm gonna lean way the hell over. It's such a great cover, though, man. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've got for today. I played this again too, a few times. I've been thinking about doing a video about records where if the band weren't well known, the records would be more highly regarded. You know what I mean? Like that'd be like Imaginos and Born Again by Black Sabbath would be another one. If that were like a private press, like this fucking Hammer Witch record you came across, you'd be like, I can't believe this fucking fantastic thing that I found, you know? But since it has the Black Sabbath name on it, you're like, you know, it's not fucking Master of Reality. It's not Heaven and Hell, you know? It's still a great record, you know what I mean? I think it's shit for being short. I think the fact that it's short is part of why it's so good, you know what I mean? There's just like this brief like snapshot in time, you know what I mean, where you had that lineup of the band and they were writing those kinds of songs, frankly, you know what I mean? They didn't sound like that anymore come Seventh Star, you know? And it was definitely more sort of fully committed to like 80s metal sound as early as it was too, like 82, 83, something like that. you know, with Dio, they still had a foot in the 70s in a way they kind of didn't anymore with Born Again, I think, you know. I could probably argue the other side of that one too, but anyway, I need to come up with more than 2 records if I'm going to make a topic out of it, though, so I don't know. Help me out in the comments if you're so inclined. Alright, that's pretty much what I've got for today, man. Fucking Hammer Witch is a good note to end on, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.